car. I don't know why I'm complaining about a car when I got the AC on with this car. Hey guys, it's Fonts. Welcome back to the channel. The AC is on and I'm not going to apologize for it, okay? It's hot. But welcome back. Today's video, I'm actually really excited about it. I'm refilming it because I tried to do it yesterday. It just wasn't working with the girl. I'm going to share with you guys my top 5, kind of sort of like 6 books. I'll explain in a second. All of my favorite books that I read in my early teens to like my mid-20s. Literally up until the last book I read before I turned 25 this past June. Because I have been reading. I got a bunch of Gossip Girl books for my birthday. I think that's my favorite gift I've gotten in years, honestly. And it just, I don't know, it's set in high school, so I'm feeling kind of nostalgic. And then I realized there are so many books that have gotten me through such rough times from late teens to where I am now. So I wanted to share that with you. I want to know what you guys think and all of that. But let me start with the first book, so let's get into it. Oh, also really quickly, I'm not going in order of like when I read it and age-wise. I'm going in order from, I love them all, but like least favorite to like top favorite. Just wanted to preface that really quick. Okay, my first book is Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. She is the owner / founder of Nasty Gal. I read this when I first turned 18, and it pretty much just goes through her whole journey through where she was at and her finding Nasty Gal and becoming this girl boss and working for herself and all of that. And I remember reading this my freshman year of college. I was a business major, if you guys didn't know. This just made me excited to grind, especially since it's like mixed with fashion. So it also made me think of like my days at FIT when I was doing like my little my little Saturday pre-college program. I was just feeling myself, and I don't know, this got me really excited. I feel like this is a good book to read when you're I mean, you can read it anytime, obviously, but I loved reading it when I was first starting in college and trying to get excited about being an adult with what my own personal interests and goals were. It does a really good job at inspiring you, especially, you know, you're a girl and you want to be a boss, okay, period. So this is my first recommendation. My next book, ooh, I got eyeliner on it. We're not going to talk about it. My next book is Girl Wash Your Face. It's by Hollis. She's a blogger, I believe. Yeah, she's a blogger now. She's an author. But she has other books as well. This one's Girl Wash Your Face. She also has Girl Stop Apologizing. I want to read it next when I'm done with all my gospel books. I'm going to buy it. But I love this one. I bought this book when I was 22 to 23. It was my first job out of college, and I just was so annoyed with how I was feeling about everything. I read this book when I felt like I wasn't doing anything that I should have done or wasn't where I thought I should be. And instead of feeling sorry for myself, I was able to meet myself where I'm at and hold myself accountable. And I think this book does a really great job at kind of walking you through that with a lot of her own personal experiences, whether it be in relationships, family issues, dealing with stuff regarding mental health, and even starting a family. I think it's a really good book. Also, she does tie in her faith into this book a little bit. It's not overwhelming, so if you're someone who maybe you don't have a faith, maybe you don't care about stuff like that, I don't think you'd be annoyed. I don't know. But also, if you're someone who is really passionate about their faith, it's kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting to hear that. Like, okay. You find another common ground with it. So I really love this book. The next one, book number 3. These next few books, let's just say that like they're all at equal grounds because they're some of my favorites, okay? This one is The Alchemist. It's by Paulo Coelho. I hope I did not butcher his name. I got a gripe with this one. When I first started to think about reading it, my best friend Veronica, she actually told me to read it. And she was like, no, it's an amazing book. I was like, girl, I don't know. Like, everybody says it's a self-help book. I'm not the biggest fan of self-help books. She's like, you'll feel inspired, but it's not a self-help book at all. And I was just like, alright. I always give it a shot because we both love to read. Like, we'll read together sometimes over FaceTime. And she's not going to steer me wrong. I know this. But in my head, I'm like, self-help book, The Alchemist, alchemy, I don't want no parts of that. Like, no, it's not for me. Sorry, I thought I had lipstick on my teeth. I was like, no, that's not for me. I don't want to get into it. When she recommended this book to me, it was my first year out of college. I actually planned to do like, I made everyone very well of the fact that I don't want to rush to do anything. I don't want to rush to find a job. I don't want to rush to do anything. I did not get to have a gap year. I'm milking this next year until I start to take myself more seriously. And everybody was like, all right, fair enough. But in doing that, I felt very kind of lost. I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go. I wasn't sure if I even did the right thing by going to college. I was very confused, and the whole premise, little synopsis of this book, is that the main character, it basically takes you along the whole life journey of the main character, where I guess he figures out what his life's purpose is, all by following not only his intuition but his faith. And basically what I got from this book is that you are always where you need to be. And I like that it's not a cheesy, you should do this, you should do that, blah 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 blah. I don't like it. I'll read you the quote on the back. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. What that quote tells me is that you are in your own life's journey. Once I read this book, my favorite thing is like, I'm in my own time zone. You are where you need to be. You're not early, you're not late. Life will guide you where you need to go when you need to get there. And that's basically what this book tells you. So I really love this book. I really recommend it. If you were kind of like me and you're like, because they always group this with self-help, I don't know. So if you're like me and you're like, self-help, alchemy, no thank you. It's not what you think it is, but it's a really good read. And it's an easy read as well. A lot of these are easy reads, but this one is like less than 200 pages, so really great. Okay, these next books, these are like, okay, I told you the next three were like my favorites. I'm grouping them, they're two books, but I'm grouping them together. They are Milk and Honey and The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. They're poetry books. Now, a quick little thing, if you're someone who does not like to read, okay, you don't like to read, but you want to kind of sound like you read and you want to feel a little bit smarter and you're like, oh, I read this, get into poetry. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but I'm going to tell you why it should. It doesn't have to, but they're just really easy reads, especially with these. So let me talk to you about the first one. They're together because they're poetry, but they're separate, okay? Okay. Milk and Honey. I read this book. I remember I was like a sophomore or a junior in college. I had like 2 or so jobs at the time, dealing with weird things with friendships, relationships within myself. College is definitely like a period where you kind of learn about yourself. I don't think you need to go to college to do that, but I think at those ages you start to just kind of piece certain things together a little bit more independently outside of like siblings and parents and stuff like that. What I love about both of these books is that she finds the most beautiful way to string together words, whether it's about her culture, her beliefs, relationships, self-love and self-care, and just self-exploration and finding who you are. She does the most amazing job at piecing together words that we all know, if that makes any sense. Like, she doesn't use any crazy extravagant words. She doesn't make the sentences that she put, or verses, stanzas, whatever, they're not difficult to understand, but they're just so well put. And every single time you can see I have all these page flags in them because I just always find a new way to resonate with them. So I read this one when I was just kind of confused about literally everything. The poem on the back says, "This is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is this is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing." That's one of the poems in the book, but it's also on the back. Beautiful. The next one from her, The Sun and Her Flowers. I read this one when it came out. I signed up, okay? I signed up so I can get it sent to me right away off Amazon. I was not playing any games. And it came at a really good time because I was going through a breakup and I was just a little stuck, wasn't sure if I had done the right thing, if I was happy. I was just trying to figure a lot of myself out, and this book really helped me out a lot with that. The poem on the back of this one, "This is the recipe of life," said my mother as she held me in her arms as I wept. "Think of those flowers you plant in the garden each year. They will teach you that people too must wilt, fall, root, rise in order to bloom." Isn't that so beautiful? Love it. And she's coming out with the word. I can't wait. I follow her on Instagram. She talked about like the next one coming out, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. But yeah, definitely get into poetry. Another really great poet is R.H. Sin. My best friend Dominique told me about him. I have one of his books. loaned it to my sister because she said she was going to read it. She didn't read it. And I don't know where it is. Otherwise, that would be in this list too. But these are definitely my favorites. So, had to mention that one. Those two. Sorry. Okay. Guys, for the last one. This is the very last book that I read right before I turned 25. So, early-ish mid-quarantine. This is called The Girl's Guide to Hunting and Fishing by Melissa Bank. I'm going to give you a little story with this. I loved Tumblr. So, in the height of Tumblr, I would see so many posts and screenshots. I know because I have some of them. So many posts and screenshots, and even on Pinterest, just like excerpts from this book. And everyone was like, this is the most amazing book you'll ever read, especially as a woman in her early to mid-20s. And I was just like, I need to get that book. When I was seeing all those screenshots, it was at a time where I didn't want to read as much because I was in college, and child, when you gotta pay to read, you don't want to read for fun. So yeah, didn't do it then. Quarantine rolls around. I'm thinking I really should start reading again. I don't know what books I want to get into, but I miss it. I go on Pinterest looking up something totally random, and one of the screenshots that seemed familiar to me because I had seen it years ago shows up on my Pinterest feed, and that as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's it. I went on Amazon and I purchased it. It's not like, even if I show you this book kind of takes you on one person's journey from beginning to end. This book doesn't do that. This book follows one woman, woman. It's at different points in her life, so it's both. But it's at peak pivotal moments in her life. So it covers everything from first relationships to confusing relationships to jobs to dealing with loss to being annoyed by cars. But it takes you on different points in her life, and I can see why so many people say this is the most important book to read if you are a young woman in your early to mid-20s. But I'm gonna say this is a book to read for any woman late teens, early 20s and up, because the issues that the main character goes through and follows are ones that you're going to see all the time throughout your life, and each time I read it I find a different connection to it. So I'm sure like you're going to keep finding those same connections because we go through those things every single day. This is a really amazing book. It's an easy read. It only has 274 pages. I read this in like 2 days, and that was with me pacing myself because it's pretty good. And I think because it's separated in like different stories of the same person, it's easy to digest and you want to keep reading. So definitely amazing. If you're not 25 yet, I like that I read it by 25 just because I kept seeing people tell me I should. So I'm going to suggest that you do so. And if you're not 25, if you're 30, I don't care, read it. It's really good. Love it. And also, if you're a teen, child, even better. Alright, you guys, that is it. It's 5-ish, it's 6, but I'm grouping it as 5 books that I really recommend for late teens to early 20s. These are books that got me through such interesting points in my life, and if you're in a weird time, I mean, we all are, right? But outside of that, if you are kind of in a weird place in life and you just kind of need a little escape that's going to motivate you, inspire you, push you, comfort you, I really recommend these books. If you've read any of them, please let me know what you think. And if you have any of your favorite books that you've read throughout a difficult point in your life, I'm not going to put an age limit on it, let me know. I'm very curious. I think what I want to do next is tell you guys books that I've read or read to nurture my inner child. I think that's really going to be interesting. So I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Bye.